Put your hands together for the hosts of DevCentral Connects, live from their home studio, Boo Lamb and Jason Rom.
Well, hey there, community. Welcome to another DevCentral Connects. I'm Boo Lamb, one of your community evangelists here. I will be joined by my co-host in a second here, Jason Rom. And today we have a special guest, Kevin Jones, who is a return guest. We're doing part 2 of blockchains, NFTs. We're going to be doing some Web3 type stuff today. Kevin is back to give us a demo, which we teased last time. So it should be a fun time. What I do want to mention, though, we've got kind of part 1 right now. We're going to live stream this on YouTube or whatever platform you're watching from, whether that's Twitter, Facebook. Make sure you're subscribed. If you are watching from YouTube, though, there should be a button kind of down here that you can press if it's not subscribed to already. But we'll also have a part 2 to this, which is going to be more of an informal AMA or just a chat about on Zoom instead. And so that's right immediately following this live stream broadcast. So we'll end at around 10 o'clock Pacific time. And the way you get to that, we've got a Zoom link for everyone. Let's see. You head over to community.f5.com and you head over to the groups here, and you'll see a group called DevCentral Connects. That's us. Head into that group. I've already got access, but you'll just see, hey, you need to click that you want to get into the group. There's no special requirements or anything like that. You just want to go ahead and ask for membership to the group, and then you'll see this thread here for April 14th, DevCentral Connects, Blockchains, NFTs, Part 2, plus After Show, and there is the Zoom link right there. So immediately after this live stream, we will pop into that Zoom instead, just continue the conversation. And then you can jump on video, you can talk and stuff like that. Instead of, all the platforms that we stream to right now is just going to be all chat. So you head over into there, just make sure you click and request membership on there. Membership to community.f5.com is free as well. So there's nothing that you have to pay for. Just sign up for a membership and you can join us on there on the platform. All right, so let me bring on my co-host here today, Jason. Jason, how you doing?
I'm good.
Awesome.
I'm a little compromised. My screen that's like right in front of me decided not to have an input today. So we're right here. And so I may be back and forth just a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah, that's one of those skills that everyone had to learn as we started to do more video conferencing. And I'm guilty of this as well, but not looking enough into the camera, which isn't necessarily the screen that you're looking at, but you've got further to kind of bounce back and forth between now.
Yep.
So Jason, we've got a question of the day for you.
Okay.
The question today, I'm sure you'll have an answer for this, and I don't know what my answer is going to be. If you were presented with the option of singing karaoke right now, what song would it be?
Ooh, karaoke. Wow. Man, I do like there's some that are kind of in my range. Like I have a choir voice. I don't have a solo voice. And my range is like an octave and a half. So there's very few songs that I can do justice to. But I like Smash Mouth's All Star. I could do that one, or even I like the Little Miss Can't Be Wrong from Spin Doctors. I've done that one before, so
Nice.
Probably one of those two.
Nice.
Of course, everybody does Sweet Caroline, so I try to avoid that one. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Anybody in the chat viewing right now, please throw your answers into the chat as well. What song would you sing if you were presented with the option of karaoke right now? I'm not springing that on anybody, by the way. That we're not going to spin up karaoke right on the live stream. Maybe that's a future episode. We would need Peter for that one for sure.
Yeah. And Mr. Wagnon, who's no longer with us, his go-to was always Total Eclipse of the Heart. So
nice. We do have an answer here.
Oh,
Good Leaf.
Counting Crows, right?
Mr. Jones. Yeah, nice. Personally, for me, I'm not very good at singing or anything like that. I would say a song that I always enjoy when it comes on in certain situations where it's not necessarily karaoke, but everybody sings along is Bohemian Rhapsody. Always seems to be a hit. And I think that's one of those things that gives good energy to everybody around you. So I enjoy that song. I would sing along. I wouldn't be solo on karaoke, I don't think, in a lot of situations, but I enjoy singing along to that one for sure. Alrighty. So from here, we've got our guest on today, Kevin Jones. So let's bring him on. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Very good. Do you have a song for us that you'd sing for karaoke?
Oh, I like that someone in the audience picked my song, Mr. Jones. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But so I like Friends in Low Places. I like singing country because I got that kind of low baritone voice. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's kind of a classic.
Little Garth, yeah, he was my gateway drug into country music back in the early 90s. It's like, hey, I kind of like that guy, and it's like, hey, I kind of like some of this other stuff. So,
little unknown fact about me: I used to line dance. So,
oh
wow,
yeah, back in the day.
I need video of that.
Yeah, and that's in San Francisco. Or were you living somewhere else that you got into line dancing?
I was in Southern California, actually. We used to go to this place called the Brand and Iron, and it was in San Bernardino. So if anyone from SoCal might know that spot.
Nice. We'll have to see if the research team, who is from Southern California as well, might know that one.
Nice.
I think at one of these ISCs / Thrives, one of these big F5 parties, we need to get some line dancing going on.
I can lead the instructing, so I got you.
Yeah, that's awesome. We have been in San Antonio a couple times for that.
Yeah.
By the way, we'll throw up Kevin's LinkedIn on here. If you're following us on Twitter as well, which is just at DevCentral, you'll find Kevin's Twitter profile linked on there as well. Posting a lot of crypto stuff on that one. So if that's the topic that you're interested in, follow Kevin over on the Twitter side of things. But maybe let's get into our conversation today. This is part 2 of our blockchain conversation, Kevin, and where we left off last time was you teased us with a demo. You said you'd be able to spin up something really quick. So here we are. Jason was very interested in seeing what this looks like. So maybe we'll let you go from there.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm not sure if you can pull up my screen here, but last time that we talked, I was talking a lot about the architecture of NFTs and Web3 and how it kind of all works together. And I started getting into crypto probably maybe a little bit over a year ago as far as development goes. And I came across Scaffolding. So this is a absolute great tool for getting started. And this is what I'm going to demo today. It was originally created by Austin Griffith, which is a core developer of Ethereum. And he's built this entire kind of ecosystem around this tooling system that is built on hard hat, React, using Solidity, smart contracts. It can even be deployed on side chains. And there's lots of examples that are available on the GitHub. So if you go to Scaffold.eth GitHub, you can see there's a master branch, which is going to get you started with the Hello World, which I'm going to show you guys how to spin up today. But then there's all sorts of examples around NFTs or ERC20 tokens if you want to spin up your own crypto token. And it basically just gives you the ability to spin up a complete blockchain, at least a simulated blockchain using what's called hard hat, which is a simulation of the Ethereum virtual machine. And it gives you a bunch of wallets as well with some kind of play money in there that you can kind of work with and test your smart contracts. And I'm going to show you guys what that looks like today as well. And so to get started, these are some of the tools that you need to have on your system. So of course, it is a Git repository, so you're going to need to install Git. And then you're going to want to install Node.js and install Yarn as well. And then any text editor works, but today I'm going to be showing you everything using Atom, which I just like the way Atom looks and some of the plugins that are available to do auto indenting and Solidity text highlighting, so we can see what the code looks like a little bit easier. But again, it's going to also have hard hat setup, which is going to, again, simulate a blockchain on your laptop. And then it's going to, like I said before, come with some wallets and some kind of play ether that you can kind of use. And then it's going to spin up a React app automatically for you, which is great. And it's going to have a front-end UI that's going to let you kind of debug your contract in real time, so you can kind of toy with it and kind of get started. And of course, everything we're going to be doing today is going to be around Solidity. We're not going to get too much into like React code. I'm going to show you what the code structure looks like, but really all the programming we're going to do is going to be in Solidity. So what is it going to look like? I want to give you guys a high level picture of kind of what we're setting up so that you can kind of see this. So, you know, you're a developer, you're interested in Web3, you're interested in getting started. You're going to go ahead and you're going to install Git, you're going to install Yarn and Node.js, and you're going to do a Git checkout of the Scaffolding repository. So that's the first command you need to run. You're going to do go into that directory and you're going to do a Yarn install. So you're going to use Yarn and Package Manager to grab the Yarn file that's already there to install all the dependencies. So it's going to do all that for you. And then you're going to run Yarn chain to actually spin up Hardhat and to spin up a blockchain on your local laptop that's going to allow you to simulate your blockchain activity. And then you're going to do Yarn start to actually spin up the React app that's going to be listening on localhost 3000. And all of there's a bunch of hooks that are already set up. There's a bunch of pages that have already been written by Scaffolding, the whole team there. There's a bunch of developers working on this project. So there's all sorts of different React apps that are already kind of built around the examples. And then you're going to do a Yarn deploy, which also is part of the Yarn file that's going to run a script that's going to deploy your contract. So it's in the scripts folder, deploy.js. That uses obviously Node.js to do that. And then as you interact with the blockchain, there's a ledger obviously on the Hardhat instance. And as you interact with your application, everything is all the blocks are being committed to that node. So it's a full working system that allows you to spin up everything localhost and do everything locally. So hopefully that paints a pretty good picture of what I'm going to be doing today. Just to get started real quick, I'm going to show you guys kind of what the directory looks like real quick. So I've already gone ahead and checked out the repository here. And we can see here that we have Node installed, and we can also see that we have Yarn installed. So since there's a Yarn file here already, what I can just do is run Yarn install. And what that's going to do is just going to install the dependencies. So we're going to let that sit just for a second because that's going to take just a little bit of time to install those. And I'm going to talk about the 3 actual use cases that I'm going to walk you guys through.
Real quick before you do that, what for the uninitiated, what is the function of Yarn? What is its purpose in all of this?
Yeah, Yarn is a package manager, so it's really just a way for you to set up all the requirements for your project. So, you know, let's say you need a specific version of React and you want a specific version of Hardhat, and you want a specific, you know, maybe a module for any of these kind of like different development tools, the certain version of Solidity that you want to use, whatever it is defined in that Yarn file. So the Scaffolding team has already gone through there and built that Yarn file for you. So you don't have to know, hey, I need this exact version of that. So it really just helps you quickly set up your environment with just one Yarn command.
Gotcha. So an analog of that would be like a pip install -r requirements.txt kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just a way for So specifically for Yarn, it's just a different method. It would also be something like npm as well or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So so as you can see, it's going through and doing all that stuff. We'll let that just sit for a second. So when you deploy the base image of Scaffolding, it comes with kind of a hello world, and we're going to show what that looks like. While that's doing that, what I would like to do is show you the actual Scaffolding directory structure so you can kind of just get a feel for what that looks like. So let me go back actually real quick. Let me close this. Atom dot. So I'm using Atom, so I'm just going to spin up Atom here and show you guys what this directory looks like. So inside the directory, of course, we have the package.json, which has all the prerequisites of what needed to be installed. But then there's a packages folder. This is really the core of everything that revolves around Scaffolding. The first thing is the React app. So there is a source directory inside the React app, and you have your basic React app that's here. It's just app.jsx, which is kind of like that first page that we're going to see when we spin up our React app in a little bit. And then inside of there is different views. So there's already some built-in pages that are set up so that you can see what an example UI would look like. And then there's also like a home page, which allows you to do things like debug the contract, build your app around the contract. So the example UI is kind of like where we can actually see like the methods, and I'm going to get to that in a second. And then the home JSX is really like your basic app. So you can build your app around that, so that it comes with like some examples in here of what that would look like. So you don't really need to know a lot about React, but it's a really good starting point for you, so that you can dabble with it, because you don't have to worry about doing all the imports yourself and creating certain functions and returns and divs. It's kind of already there, and you can kind of build off of it. The hard hat directory is where we're going to be working mostly today, and that's in this contracts directory, which is the actual smart contract that we're deploying. So again, when you deploy Scaffolding, it comes with a real basic kind of a hello world string that we're going to mess with here in a second, and it comes with some built-in functions as well. So this has all been installed. So what we can do now is I use Tmux, which is awesome if you guys aren't familiar with Tmux. It allows you to kind of split up your screen into kind of little windows and kind of manage them in a terminal session kind of way. And we're going to do, we've already checked out the directory. We've done the yarn install. So now we're going to spin up a blockchain. So we're going to do yarn chain. So yarn chain is going to spin up the hard hat node, and it's going to run it locally. And that's all you need to do, yarn chain. So now we've got a blockchain running. Now I'm going to go over here to this other window on the right. And I'm going to go back into the directory where I'm working, which is under projects with Ethereum Scaffolding. And I'm going to do a yarn. I mentioned yarn deploy earlier. There's also a yarn watch command will constantly check and constantly deploy. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a yarn watch. And you can see here that it's automatically detected that there was a smart contract in that folder that I showed you, and it's going to deploy it on the blockchain. So we can see here on the left that it was deployed. We can see the contract address, and we can see that there was a transaction that happened here, and we can see that some gas was used, and there was a block that was actually committed to the blockchain. So we've already got our first transaction because we deployed, but we don't have the app up for the front end. So that's the next step. So we're going to go back into that directory where I have Scaffolding installed, and it's under Scaffolding, and we're going to do yarn start, which is the last command that we need to do. And this is to actually spin up the React app so that we can see what that looks like. So we're going to give that 1 second to spin up.
While that's spinning up, I can ask some idiot questions. If you go back to your Tmux screen.
Oh, Tmux, yep. Yeah.
And so in your upper left here, when you say you spin up a blockchain, so that's assuming that all the logic, all the code or whatever on how a blockchain exists, creation of Genesis block and or the way Genesis blocks are created, the way proof of work is handled, all that stuff is kind of there for you. All you're doing is spinning up what somebody has created as a blockchain, right?
Yeah, but the only difference is it's essentially an empty blockchain when you first set it up. So we're not like forking a mainnet blockchain, or we're not forking a sidechain or something. We're only working with the data that we're going to be working with from a development standpoint. So yes, but yeah, it's going to handle all of the validations, all the signatures, signature validations, and all that stuff. So yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I got prompted for MetaMask. This is basically because I have a wallet installed on my browser. So I'm just going to sign into that real quick, just so we have it. But I'm not actually going to use MetaMask, so I'm going to log out of there. So when you spin up, again, with those 4 commands, we've got our React app set up. And you can see here there's an app home directory, which is that folder I showed you where you can build your app with some examples in there. But really what I want to get to is the Debug Contracts tab. So this is where you can actually start building your smart contract in Solidity and see what happens when you kind of interact with it. So we could say all right, well, building unstoppable apps is the current purpose. There's a function here that I can change that. So I could say something like DevCentral is awesome, boom. And I can send that, and it's going to say, well, you don't have any money. You don't have any funds on your wallet, because it comes with a burner wallet automatically here that's available from Scaffolding. I could connect my MetaMask, but there might not be any funds in there either. So there's a built-in functionality called a faucet inside Scaffolding so that I can just click here and say, give me some funds. And it just gave me $30 in Ether. I think it's 0.01 ETH or something like that. Or I could grab my address here, which is my burner wallet, and I could come down here to the wallet faucet, and I can paste in my address, and I could even get more. Like, let's say I want more. Let's say I want, I don't know, $10,000 worth of Ether. Send me that. So it's kind of like some play money that you can work with, because everything in Ethereum program is really built on token-based economy. So now I got $10,030 that I can work with. So now I should be able to just easily, I should have enough money to change this contract. So I can do a send command, and we can see there that what happened on the back end is a contract call happened. It submitted it. It was validated, and it worked. And we can see that the purpose, the variable purpose, was updated in real time. And I can do that as many times as I want. You know, like I can say Kevin Jones, send, and I'm using a little bit of my money to pay to get that transaction put onto the network and validated using what's called gas, which we're not going to get too much into that, but you need gas essentially to make changes to your contract. So let's go through and let's do some changes to the contract, because that's kind of cool. It's just the one that comes with, it's a very basic hello world, but let's actually go in and let's add something else. So let's say you want to do a counter, right? So I showed you guys the contract earlier. So we first thing we want to do is actually define a new variable, an uint that is publicly available called count. And then we want to create a function around that allows us to make changes to that, right? So we're going to create a function called get, which is going to get us the count. So it's going to do so it's a public, which means that it's available outside of the contract. You can make functions internal, or you can make them public, and we're going to make it be able to return some data. So we're going to say, okay, return the count, so the current count, so that we can get that. But then we need two other functions. We also need a function to increase that counter, so that we can actually see what happens when we change it. And then we need another that allows us to decrease it. So I've created three functions: get it, increment it, or decrement it, which is going to allow us to add or remove to that variable. And then let me just use Command Shift I. Sorry, Option Shift I. That's not working. Well, it's all right. It doesn't need to be completely. All right. So now I've saved that contract. So now we can see that there's okay. So I missed an error here in my thing. So we can see that it. Yeah. So let's see where I did that. Where is that?
Line 20.
Thank you. All right, let's save that. And you can see that it's automatically detected a change. So it's kind of listens to your contract, and it automatically deployed it. Now it's all published. So it's good to go. And it shows you how much gas that it used from your wallet to do that. And then now we can go back to our contract, and we can see we get some new function out of there. So we get the count variable, we get a decrement and an increment option. So now let's try to increment it just by clicking inc, and we can see that we can adjust that variable. So it's making changes and keeping state inside of the contract. And I can go all the way down, back down to 0 if I want. Get rid of that. And okay, let's see what happens if we try to go -1. We get a panic. And it's really nice because we get the actual error here inside of Scaffolding. So we automatically know, okay, well, hey, there was a panic because I tried to go below 0. So it's because of the way variables are handled. In this case, we need to use a different kind of a variable if we wanted to go negative. So it's kind of cool that you actually get access to that. So I want to do one more example, which is a little bit more exciting, which would be actually using Scaffolding as a bank. So if you wanted to actually store some contract value in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe out the contract a little bit here and just kind of get rid of all this other stuff. Let's go ahead and save it. And we'll see here that when I save it, it's going to deploy it, and then we won't have anything in our debug contract at all. See, it's completely empty. So then what we want to do now is come in here. Let's do this. So there's another kind of a variable that's built in or available in Solidity. It's called the address, which is how you define a specific address to interact with on the blockchain. So we're going to create one that is publicly available. We're going to make it payable so that it can actually receive funds, and it's going to be called owner. Okay. And then just like JavaScript, in the constructor is basically what's going to be deployed when the contract is first deployed. So what we can do is we can say, define who the owner is, and we can make them payable. And then this message.sender is the internal variable that's available to be able to determine who actually published the contract or who deployed the contract. So we can actually, first we have to define that available variable is going to be used, and then here we can actually set what that variable is and what the value is. And there's two, it's important to know that with Solidity, you have to also set up different types of value for if you want it to be payable or not on the function. So if we had there's two examples here. This one will allow you to deposit money, and this one would not allow you to deposit money. So we're going to be using this function deposit, which is going to set it to public, so anyone can access it from outside of the contract, and they can actually send money in to that contract as well. And then I'm going to show, we're going to do one more down below here. We're going to do a withdraw function, which is going to allow me to withdraw all of the funds from the balance of this contract. And we're going to also do some error checking here that's going to make sure that it was successful. Otherwise, we're going to send an error so that we kind of fail gracefully. And then we're going to we can show one example of how you might also transfer funds. So like if you wanted to transfer funds out of the contract to a different address or something like that, then you could also use this transfer function, which takes in variables. So this is the first example of how you can actually input an address or an amount to send to another address. So this gives you some flexibility on how you might withdraw the funds rather than just withdraw all of them. You can actually transfer like a small amount to another wallet. Now, obviously, this is not the best practice for a bank because there's no access control in here. There's no authentication, but this is just an example to show you what the functions kind of look like. So let's see if, all right, so we just saved it and it compiled and deployed. That's it, we're good to go. So now we can see that our debug contract's here. So let's put some ETH in there. So it's one thing I'll explain that is everything that you do as far as ETH goes, you deal with what's called Wei, which is like the smallest amount of basically Ether. So it's like a fractional of Ether, right? So you wouldn't want to just, maybe you don't want to deposit one whole Ether, but the idea is that when you're dealing with it, you're actually dealing with 10 to the 18th power, so times 10 to the 18th power. So here we can deposit, let's say we want to deposit 1 Ethereum, we can do 1, and then this has a built-in function to convert it to the right value, the micro value. So this is how much Wei that we need to send. So let's click send. So now I've taken $3,000 and I've deposited into the smart contract. So it's no longer in my wallet, it's actually in the smart contract. So the smart contract is acting as a bank. And what I could do is I could connect to my MetaMask now, because I've been connected to this wallet here, which is the burner wallet that comes with it. But now I can connect to the MetaMask one, and I can see if there's any, what's weird, I shouldn't have funds actually. Let me connect again. Let me refresh. There we go. Okay, my wallet should be empty. So this is my MetaMask wallet, which is built in the browser. It's not the burner wallet. Now I could actually withdraw that money. So I've signed into a different wallet and it's saying, okay, do you want to like interact with this contract? Okay, I don't have any funds, so I need to be able to at least pay for the gas. So let me get some funds just so I have a little bit of money. So I have 30 bucks, but I want 3,000. So I'm gonna come in here and just withdraw and do a rug pull on this contract. And confirm. Boom. So I successfully did that. I might need to refresh real quick and just make sure. Okay, so it didn't actually, sorry, the way the contract was written, so it didn't allow me to rug pull. I forgot, because the way that we wrote the contract is we made the withdraw go to the owner here. So because I was logged in as a different wallet, it didn't try to send the funds to me. It sent it to the original person that deposited those funds. So we can actually go back to there, and let me log out of this wallet, and we'll see that I should have. Yes, I should. Okay, the funds disappeared, so I'm not sure what happened there. We lost $3,000. This is not good. But yeah, I'm not sure where they went then. There might be some kind of little like bug with the UI right now, because it should actually have sent those funds back to the original deployer. Oh, maybe that's what it did. Is it deployed it? It gave it to it might have given the money to the wallet that deployed the contract, which could be this one actually, the owner. So because see, this is a different address, so it actually sent this money to the person who deployed the contract. That's the difference. Because when you're working with Scaffolding, you're using some built-in hard hat wallets, and those are doing the deploying. And then you have a burner wallet, which is the one that comes just with Scaffolding that allows you to interact. And then you can also have your MetaMask wallet. So it gets a little confusing. So that's what happened is this one here actually got the funds. So if we were to actually be able to, we don't have the private key handy. I'd have to dig to get it. But we could actually, if we had the private key for this wallet, we could log in there and there would be $3,000 in Ether in that wallet because it was the owner. Hope that makes sense.
So if you guys are having your private poker, tournaments with this at home, kids, don't make sure you know who your owners are.
Yeah. So get to look at the contracts for sure.
Kevin, is this a good point to kind of switch over to the Zoom? Do you think we've kind of covered a good portion here, and
yeah,
people that want to interact now, we can actually head over to the after show.
Absolutely, yeah. Sorry, I ran a little bit over there, but yeah, I'll hop over there now.
That's great. Yeah, cool. Maybe in the last couple seconds of the show, though, do you want to give us a 30-second just overview of what was accomplished so far?
Yeah. So what we did is we spun up a copy of Scaffolding using Git and using Yarn and using Node.js to spin up basically a private blockchain on your laptop with a copy of Scaffolding, with React running that has built-in functionality for debugging your smart contracts. It also comes with a default kind of like home directory where you can actually build your React app around that, like a UI. And then we deployed 3 contracts. The one that comes with it, which is the kind of like a hello world unstoppable apps version. Then we deployed an incrementer, a decrementer, like a counter. And then we deployed a bank, an example for you to be able to store value inside of that smart contract.
Awesome. Yeah, very cool. So I've popped up the link on here, which is the after show. The research team has also popped up the Zoom link that's directly in the YouTube chat as well. So you want to head over to that. And I will note for people who don't want to click on those links, you just head over to community.f5.com. I'll back up here. Community.f5.com. Head over to groups. Make sure you're logged in, of course, free membership. Hit the DevCentral Connects group. You probably won't have access to this initially. Just click that you want access and you'll be immediately approved, and head over into this thread over here and you'll find the Zoom link to join us on there. So Kevin, we'll join you over there in just a second. Jason and I will do some wrap up here and we'll be there in just a sec.
That's good.
Awesome. That was fun.
Yeah, very cool. So Jason, we're going to head over there, but just a couple of things to wrap up, and maybe what do we got here? Next show is going to be the core. Jason, do you want? Actually, you've got a promo for that, so let's park that for a second here. The next show after that would be the 21st, and what do you got planned for that one, Jason?
The Eric Chen is joining us to talk about the Linux container ecosystem, a brief history, and where they are today. So Eric Chen, also always a fantastic guest. So that's going to be a good show.
Fantastic. And then after that, there will be a top 5 episode. And then following that, another special guest that you've got on, Jason, I believe.
Yeah, our good friend and MVP, Sebastian Maniac, is going to join us, and we're going to go into network infrastructure automation with Terraform and Ansible. So that is going to be a great show as well. Excited to close out the month of April strong.
Yeah, fantastic. I will be on PTO, just announcing that for everyone right now. So if you have any questions for me, you have 2 days to ask me anything. I'll be on the Zoom here in just a second, and then after that, aloha, I'll be on another island in a couple days. So thanks everybody for joining us. Head over to the after show again. If you head over to community.f5.com, you will find that over inside of this thread, the Zoom link for that. And then otherwise we'll see you we'll see you next time, community. We'll see you on Tuesday, and I'll roll Jason's promo for Tuesday.
Take care,
Bye,
everyone. Hey there, community. I am super excited about this upcoming episode of The Core on Tuesday, April 19th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific. We're going to be talking about automating packet captures on your big IP. And so this is really cool. If you've ever dealt with, trying to get packet captures, either for your own personal projects to analyze something going on in your network, or you're trying to reproduce an issue for a support case, this can be stressful, right? Because you're trying to reproduce your test, but you don't want to capture too much traffic. And then you got to make sure you got the files off. You got to get your keys captured correctly so they can decrypt the traffic and look at all that. So it's a little stressful trying to do that all manually in a very short amount of time. And so we're going to talk about automating that whole process. And so I have a proof of concept built. We're going to walk through it. And then after we get done with that, we're going to go into what might we do with packet captures after we get them off at Big IP, rather than just opening Wireshark. So we're going to take a look at roadmap and what we might do in the future to expand this project. So if that's at all of interest to you, or even if it's not, come join me, hang out with me, and we'll have a great time. See you then.